let's get started. Where did we leave off? I believe last time. Let's get back to Savvy. I think we're working on, oh yeah, we're working on the GitHub parts of Savvy. I keep having people follow and I don't notice. I've got to figure out how to make that more apparent so that I can say thanks. Alright. What's broken right now? Oh, GitHub client stuff. GitHub client is required but not provided. Lines 2 through 5. So that is these. What is the problem here? Module type GitHub client. Why are my indentations so weird in this file? Let's try and keep things the same for a change. At some point I have to get OCaml format working. So it feels like the error is coming from here somewhere. It has to do with this stuff. I think. I don't want to have to ask AI to troubleshoot. I've got to be able to figure this out. Let's see. In Savvy, we've got. Oh, we don't have. Maybe that's my problem. Module type GitHub client equals GitHub.GitHub client. Let's see what that does. Alright, that's gotten us some promising results. Alright, now we've got stuff in OAuth client, OAuth 2 client, unused variables. Unused value declaration token endpoint. That seems highly unlikely that the token endpoint is not being used in OAuth 2 client. But let's take a look. So that's line 155. So let's jump there. Token endpoint. That's right. I started creating this configuration. I don't remember why though. Haha. There we go. Everything is building now. This should be a warning to all future me's. Don't start working on stuff on Thursday before you go on a long weekend and forget everything you worked on. So everything builds good. Let's take a look at where we're at. So main is our demo file. In Savvy we have main.ml is sort of like a dummy sort of oh, I could buy stream viewers, huh? I think that's gonna be a no from me, pal. Yeah. So the main.ml is sort of our example of how you'd use Savvy in a web server. So the /GitHub endpoint is going to be just a blank page that has a sign in with GitHub button. And then if you click on it, I guess that sign in with GitHub button is going to have this URL, this authorization URL populated in it. And so that's going to make it to where when you click it, it will redirect the user, or when you click it, the browser, the user agent will be redirected to that authorization URL on GitHub. GitHub will go through its whole flow, so everything that happens with the user at that point will just be GitHub that handles it. And then that'll redirect back to our callback URI, or our redirect URI. If I'm remembering correctly, originally we called it callback URL, but in this doc they call it redirect URI. So I think I renamed it last time to redirect URI to match that, just because redirect URI is like the OAuth 2 real name. It's like the actual standard name. And so I'd rather stick to that if we can. All right, so we've got all these various things that are necessary. We've populated the scope field with 2 just dummy, but I believe these are real scopes on GitHub user and repo, because this gives you access to the user's actual user information, like their email address and stuff like that. And then repo, I believe read on the repo, or read, I believe the repo scope gives you read access to that user's repositories. Not positive. We'll have to dig into that further if we decide that we want to build something with GitHub, which is not what we're doing right now. So let's see, we've got our login endpoint. Login endpoint is like a login hint. If you pass any value in here, GitHub is going to attempt to use that user to log in. So this would be like if you've got a user who has multiple GitHub logins that they're using, then if you know which one that they're going to want to use, then you can pass this login hint, and then it'll tell GitHub, hey, this is probably the user you want to try to attempt the login flow with. Allow sign up was an optional string. I don't know why it's a string. I guess technically they're all strings because they're all being passed over the wire. In Savvy, we made it a Boolean because the string is really just true or false. It doesn't make any sense for us to ask our users to type the string true or false. We should leave a note here about that though. Actually, let's move this up a line. And we'll put it here. And then we can also drop this in. I love to drop URLs in when we can. Just because when I'm going back, to like troubleshoot code, or when I'm going back, oh hey, what's up, Roasted? Good morning. Yeah, when I'm going back to dig through code, URLs in comments are like my favorite thing to see because they're always going to be a source of tremendous amounts of information. All right, so scope, what scopes the users got? Login is the login hint. Allow sign up is whether or not the user is allowed to sign up or if they can only log in. And then prompt is, I know it was a weird one, right? Forces the account picker to appear if set to select account. If the user has multiple accounts in, the account picker will also appear if the application is a none or has multiple user accounts. I guess if you don't pass a login hint, then prompt is going to, the login or the account prompt is going to pop up no matter what. But otherwise, you can force this. Can force the account picker to appear if select account is passed. What are you up to this morning, Roasted? Just hanging out? So we got the authorization URL. Do a match on that. We're gonna respond with this. What did I do? Just a black background, white text, slightly rounded. That's too much rounded. There we go. Writing a Tailwind class extractor in Zig for funsies. Wow. Actually, that does sound pretty interesting. Tailwind class extractor would be super convenient for a lot of things. I worked on a WordPress clone for a little while, and that was where I got stuck, was I couldn't figure out how to modify the Tailwind CLI to where I could like dynamically generate those classes. Is that kind of what you're doing, or are you just looking to just grab the classes as a string so that you can use them for something? You've got mail. Let's see. Okay. So that's going to pass that string. Yep, so that's going to pass the string to the button. So we click the button. I kind of want to just like load this code up and see how it works, but we better build the other half of this first. So we need a GitHub callback. /GitHub -callback. Super original naming schema. Begin. End. It's a two-parter. I think I'll have to generate a state. And the other one, I probably should modify it. On a bit of a parser kick at the moment, so it just seemed like something fun to do. Tailwind guys rewrote their parser in Rust a while ago, so I'm familiarizing myself with that too. Oh, very cool. That does sound like fun. I think writing parser would be super interesting, but I'm also just too afraid to start because I feel like if I did that, there'd be no coming back for me. Something needs to happen here. Hello? Oh, right. Response string. Yeah, for sure. Especially with OCaml, right? It's such a good language. Yeah, OCaml is so good for it. It's so easy to write that kind of stuff. But I'm also not very good at OCaml, so that might also even be frustrating to know that I'm writing it in the right language and still fail to do it somehow. Let's see. Hello. You did it. Alright. So we got a callback. Let's pop over to our authorization URL. Let's take a look. We're gonna have to leverage our our storage. Okay, we already got it. Okay, so we're gonna have to leverage our storage here soon. This is just, all it does is just checks to see that there's a config and that it's the correct type, and then it passes back this example.com. So that's not gonna work. We need to actually build what GitHub wants. So GitHub needs this guy. Why is my highlighting black? I don't know what I've done to this browser. What did I do to you, Chrome, that you hate me so? Let's start by just replacing this. OAuth. Alright, so that's for sure our... Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to do here, but it can't be this. So we've got our config. We're passing back an authorized URL and a client ID. Why are we passing back the client ID? It's very odd. Oh, it's just, yeah, okay. I just reused the result type from OAuth 2, and so I just needed something there, I'm sure. All right. There aren't any other config types right now, so I don't have to put in an else case here. It's so rainy. Getting very like froggy sounding. All right, so we've got to begin. Okay, so got our config. We need to generate state. I think we're essentially gonna have to do everything that we do in OAuth client. If we come down to, where did my there we are. Yeah, so essentially we're gonna have to do all of this, right? So we want these two lines. We're just gonna blatantly steal all of this stuff. It's fine. We wrote it, so it's not really thievery. Unused variable state. Yeah, of course it is. Oh, that's an idea. Whoops. Is that gonna run my fan? Yeah, that's gonna run the fan. Let's not do that. Alright. So we've got our state value. What's the next thing we need to grab? Somewhere there's a Pixie code verifier. There's not. GitHub does not support Pixie. So that's just not gonna be the case no matter what. So we don't need to grab verifier. Params we probably need. These are our available query params that we've got configured out there, so we can just steal this. We don't even need this part, but we'll just grab it all and we'll modify it. And then we're going to update state. We're going to add query params to our authorization endpoint. And then we're going to send everything back. Sweet. Okay, let's do. Don't need those comments. Those comments are all Pixie related. So let's come here. Drop this stuff in here. Ah, so angry. Okay, we don't need verifier. Bye. We do need params. We want a response type of code, I assume. Actually, maybe we don't need the response type. Because, like, I think this only... well, no, how does it know it's not the device flow? To authorize your OAuth, consider which authorization flow best fits. Web application flow or device flow. OAuth authorized? Does device flow have its own device code? Okay, yeah, so it's got a totally different endpoint. So they know what kind of flow it is just by virtue of the fact that we're hitting the authorization code endpoint. So that's handy. All right, so we don't need response type. We do want client ID. Why do we have this weird AC config situation? Hold on, what am I remembering here? Match config with authorization code config. Oh, right, okay. I just called it conf. Super original. Let's see, GitHub config. Let's stick with the naming convention. GitHub config. Cool. Get our state value. Got our params. Get our client ID. Redirect URI. We'll have that URI string from GitHub config. We'll have our scope, which will just be the array that we pass in, or the list we pass in will just be concatenated together with spaces. We'll pass our state value. It doesn't list, oh no, it does list state. Okay, whew, thank goodness. Hi, Guyan. How's it going? What are you up to this morning? Or afternoon. I guess I don't know what time it is for you. I'd researching for folks doing OCaml streams. Well, you are in the right place. You have found the most novice of OCaml streamers. Yeah, so if you've been following along, we're working on Savvy. Oh, you're going through this right now. Ooh, CS3 at 3110. This guy's awesome. I still really want to sit down and go through all of this stuff. Yeah. It is pretty just incredible to me how good the educational resources for OCaml are. That's one of the key reasons why I love it so much, since my day job is TypeScript. All right. Params, we got our state param. Oh, we got to pass our other random parameters. Oh, wait, I guess I've got to, let's see, when we don't have some of these, because a couple of these are optional. Login hint is optional. Got scope. So login, allow sign up, and prompt are all optional. Let's see. So we've got, let's match GitHub config. Done. Let's start with the top one, right? Login. Login could be optional, is an optional one. What did we type that as? Login is a string option. Okay, cool. So if we get some login value, then we're gonna, no, stop. Also, super novice NeoVim user. but I do use NeoVim, by the way. Let's see, login. We're going to set this login value to literally the login value. And then we can just toss the rest of this stuff. There's not going to be a plain. And then this will be none. So none will just return nothing. I think we'll probably just do a bunch of these, right? Boop. That'll be the easiest route for our optional ones. So allow sign up. So let's do this one. Allow sign up with sign up value. Make this allow. There's got to be a better way to do this. Like, there's got to be a way to, like, I don't know. Just like unwrap these directly in. I use NeoVim. For the last 1 year, I've switched to Helix. Ooh, I've heard good things about Helix. I haven't played with it yet. Well, it's been out for quite a bit. But I haven't played with it, just period. But yeah, I've heard really good things about it. Better than NeoVim because of 2 important reasons. All right, I'm ready for it. 2 important reasons. Allow sign up. No config needed, and second, easier key bindings. Oh, okay. But I mean, isn't that second one kind of a part of the first one? Like, say key bindings are easier, you're just meaning that there's easier defaults. Gotcha. Yeah, that has definitely been a hurdle with NeoVim for me. Is like I'm not the kind of person that normally likes to go and configure a bunch of things. But part of the reason why I use NeoVim, why I like it, is because it kind of forces me to be sort of the more customizable person. And I think there's something valuable about that. Not that there's nothing valuable about not being customizable too. I do really like good defaults as well. So I'm glad it's working really good for you. Does it have really good LSP support for OCaml? I know that's kind of a challenge with like VS Code that doesn't really support OCaml super well. Or at least it didn't. Maybe it does now. I don't know. I'll sign up value. Decent. Okay, that's good. We just gotta wait for whenever JetBrains releases their OCaml editor, right? Then we can all just migrate to that. So they recommend me Emacs. Oh, Emacs. Okay. I could see someone recommending that. But I could also see someone recommending that you just give up on OCaml and learn Haskell instead too. What's the prompt? Prompt could be... Oh, this is a record type, right? Yep, JetBrains, all hail. For real. It's really funny to me. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter who is like, I don't know. He seems very anti-JetBrains. It was very funny. I hung out with him a little bit at Laracon US last year, and he would just occasionally just, like, I'd bump into him and he'd be like, yeah, I'm going over to go troll the JetBrains people. And then would just go like mess with them. It's a good time. It's a good time. All in good fun. All in good fun. What are our prompt types? GitHub prompts, no prompt, select account, other. Okay. Let's start with the easy one. Select account. You lock in. You will look into Savvy right now. It could. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that is it. We are just freshly inducted into OPAM, so we are discoverable on OPAM's website now, which is hilarious because someone was on stream yesterday and told me that that Dune is trying to like implement their own package manager, which will make OPAM unnecessary. So, but it was still a roller coaster worth riding. I would do it again. But we got it. We got it in there. But yeah, you should look into the Dune preview though for our Dune package manager. I think I still have it up over here. I'll just pull this up right there. This guy. You can set up OCaml in under a minute. Select account. This is other. Prompt value. Prompt value, and then this is, what was our other option? No prompt. All right. So many errors here. Update state. All right, so we've got our, don't need a verifier. We do have a config. Oh wait, does my state require that I pass a verifier though? I think it does. So maybe this just needs to be an empty string to appease it. Because I think our storage interface requires that we pass a state value as a string and then a tuple with a verifier and a config. I think. Let's see. That is over here. Whoops. Where's my, oh, that's not big enough. There we go. I was like, where's my previews? Yeah, update takes a string and then, yeah, okay. Unfortunate. Well, we can always pass fake values. We know what we're doing. So let's make this GitHub. Oh, we don't have to do this. So we're gonna grab this URL here. We're gonna pass this here. Because we don't need to pass the authorization URL from the config because GitHub's authorization URL is always the same. It's always this one. Okay, now this is, now we're expecting it to return a URL and something else. Actually, do I need to return two things here? I think I might only need the URL. Get authorization URL, URL and state. Oh, we return state value. We can do that. That's fine if that's what we intend to send back. Let's say, oh, let's just delete this. And then we can delete this line. Oh, a lot of errors are fixed now. Unbound value, sign up value. Hello? Starting at the top. Let's start at the top. This expression has type JSON URI but an expression was expected of. Oh. So then I need JSON URI dot toString. Oh yeah, last stream we fixed up our module. So now we have a JSON URI module, which is just a wrapper around the URI module. So I learned how modules work. That was very exciting. So we've got these two include statements. So we write our own version of a module up here, which just has the two new parameters that we want, or two new properties, two methods. So we create this struct called T. Then we include URI, which gives us everything in the URI module. It just moves it all into context. And then we include T, which moves all of this stuff into context and basically just overlays them on top of each other. So then when we include or require this module, we're going to get all of URI plus modified version of T. It's a little bit over-engineered thanks to ChatGPT, but I like the way that it like lays things out so it's easy to tell what's happening. Actually, I'm going to put a comment in here because while this is an authorization library, I also want to catalog things in such a way that people who don't know OCaml super well can look at it and understand what's going on. Because I think developer experience is like a huge win in the OCaml community. Like, I want to make everything that we build as friendly and as accessible as possible. Undefined URI. Yeah. Yeah, I love the airing in OCaml. It's super nice for just the way that it's like, hey, you've done this thing. I think you were trying to do this other thing, and that's cool, but you did it wrong. Fancy way of wrapping our new methods above into the URI. Kind of like Rust. Yeah, Rust also does a really good job of that. I do not do Rust. I only know a smattering of Rust, but we use it where I work, and so I'm like slowly kind of like integrating myself into Rust just for the benefit of being able to do work on like back-end stuff more. Wrapping our new methods up into the URI. Is the URI module is brought into context. I'll stop there. Too clean of a lines differentiator. And then our struct above is added to context on top of it, and the total is all right, we're doing it returned. All right, so all right, back to now. We got to figure out what's going on here. Unbound value, sign up value. Should this not be? Are you sure? Are you sure? This variant pattern is expected to have type bool. Oh, right. Sign up value is allow signups a bool. Right. Okay. So this is true, and this is false, and then this. Oh, what was it supposed to be? Allow signup string should be either a string of true or a string of false. It's optional. Use false when a proposition. Okay. Oh, maybe this should be an option then. I was thinking like false, it just wouldn't pass anything, but false is the one that they actually want. You want to explicitly say true or false. It should default. I don't know. It's optional. I feel like we need to make it optional. Okay. Allow sign up. We'll make it an option, which means if I change it here, we've got to change it in here. And that means we need to change it here. This will be some true. And then we go back to GitHub. Optional bool if you want to match the spec, yeah. I think we have to. I think matching the spec is probably the most important thing for us to do here, just because, again, someone's going to be reading this, and maybe they're familiar with GitHub and they're not familiar with OCaml. Well, they're definitely not familiar with Savvy, right? Because we're probably the only people that know anything about Savvy. So yeah, gotta stick with it. So if we do some true or some false, and then we can just do none down here, and that way we'll be able to just do this. Let's see. All right, and that gets us the ability to do that. All right, so that clears that error. So now we've got Login squared away. Sign up. Man, I should have done these in alphabetical order. Let's do that now. I don't want to be that person that builds stuff out of order. Oh, but then allow sign up has to be first. Okay, we'll do that later. All right, storage config needs to be. Oh, what is this? This is our problem, isn't it? It's expected of type config, but an expression was expected of type OAuth2 client.config. Maybe we need to come up with a way. Maybe we need an interface, a config interface that everything is just wrapped by. It's either that or else we add the GitHub config type to our OAuth. Nice. Second ID. I think it's got to be. That's what I was starting to build in the that thing that we deleted earlier. That configuration thing we deleted. I was trying to work on an interface, or I had been contemplating what it would look like to build an interface. So right now our storage unit requires a type config, which is okay. Milestone complete, 30 followers. Boom. Yeah. Oh, I guess that's true. I don't have the little thing. Hold on a second. I don't have the little progress bar on the, I don't know, it built into an overlay. But yeah, I think that is our 30th. So thank you. Let me see. I'll pull it up. Don't be loud. Stream summary. There we go. And yep, that was the 30th follower goal. Well, thanks. Congratulations, us. We've done it. All right. So we have to figure out this config issue, because I don't think that this can stay a config. I also think that we're going to need to move storage unit out of this file, because I think storage unit needs to be generic. I think it shouldn't be directly connected to OAuth2. I don't know though. I'm at this weird crossroads where I'm kind of like not sure whether or not I want to lean into other like types. I really like OAuth2. I'm very familiar with OAuth2. I've spent a lot of time reading the RFC and stuff now. But I'm not sure if I want to potentially lean into like also doing like SAML stuff, or maybe go a little bit deeper in OAuth and do an OIDC layer or wrapper or something like that. It feels like there's a lot of potential for Savvy to do more stuff. Actually, when I first started building it, my kind of goal state was to be more like the Socialite, what is it called? The Socialite package in the Laravel ecosystem. Their ability to integrate with stuff is so good. The key thing that I think Socialite misses out on that we leaned into with Savvy was that Socialite doesn't allow for generic like OAuth or OIDC setups. It doesn't really do a good job of having like custom generics. It exclusively does named stuff, so like GitHub, Google, Twitch, stuff like that. It just does those really easily, really well, and does them very well. Like, to be fair, like not a knock on Socialite. But the thing we leaned into with Savvy was I wanted us to be able to do the custom version first and give people that option. So because of that, I think we need to move our storage unit out. I think we need to create a config interface that's sort of like the interface. Did I create it here? Yeah, that's sort of like this interface, but for store, but for configs. So now we have to figure out how to do that. Again, I'm not super good at OCaml, so this will be where things will get a little messier. Let's see. So I think we'll need to create a new file for this. What do I create? What is it? Little d. Yeah, please give directory a name. We'll call this storage. Okay. And then we'll create a file in here called storage.ml. Alright. Things are going to go in here. Things are going in here. Going on here. Sure. Let's take a look at our configs. Where is it? Right here. Configs have a lot of stuff going on. The problem is I'm worried that there's not enough overlap with these configs. Let's see. So the first config is authorization code, so it's going to have an authorization endpoint. These don't have authorization endpoints. This does. Refresh token doesn't. They all have client ID. That's important. I guess the interface is just the things that they're required to have. That's still going to mean that it's possible to create configs that are wrong. Let's see. Well, things that they're required to have, though, are client ID. Client ID for sure. Client secret, is it allowed or is it required by device code? Pixie not required across the board. Redirect URI is not required across the board. Scope is necessary, so client ID and scope. And then token endpoint. Yeah, client ID, scope, and token endpoint appear to be our. So let's jump back here. Module type, storage. How does this look? Let's just copy this one over there. And then we'll get rid of that. Module type, storage config. Yeah, we'll call it that, storage config. And it needs to have a type of T. Hello? I can't have a 4 space indent? What's going on here? Alright, so we need client. How do I... No, I'm not gonna... Is it just val? Client ID string. Client ID string. Okay. So we know there's a client ID. There was a token endpoint. What was the third thing that they all had? Oh, scopes. And scope. So this should be a string list. Token endpoint should be a URI or a JSON URI. I think it should be a JSON URI. We'll just make it a URI for now, though. Undefined module URI. What? Oh, that's right. We'll have to create a Dune file. Client ID string. Oh, let's alphabetize these because we're civilized here. Delete these. Whoops. What did I delete that I shouldn't have deleted? value decorations are only allowed in signatures. Is that not what this is? Doesn't that, hello? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why this spacing is, oh gosh. The spacing, hello, come on. There we go, all right. I recommend doing a clean out of stale values in get. Okay, cool. After unclosed, wait, is there like, what am I missing? Why is it syntax error? Oh, URI.t. Okay, I can fix that though. All right, cool. Things are going on here. Any user-defined storage implementation. No, this needs to be, nope, see, definition of what a generic config should have, so that storage knows what it is. Yeah, we'll workshop that more later. All right, so we need to create a Dune file. Save that. Let's go over to, let's grab our, I guess it doesn't matter which one I grab. Let's grab this one. Pop back. Put this here. This one's going to be called storage. Savvy.storage. So I think we'll move our storage unit definition over here as well, so that it can use this interface. We don't need this, we don't need that, we don't need that. Oh, I probably need, wait, don't I have? I don't use URI in any of these. How could there be an unbound module of URI? Oh, I guess just because it's not a Dune. It's not wrapped in anything. Probably don't need half of this stuff for storage. Let's just Dune build. That way we get our errors. That was significantly less errors than I expected us to get there. So that's nice. Alright, now all this stuff's happy. We could use our fancy, wait. How did I use here? Oh, JSON URI as a library. Yep. Put that in there. That's the only one we're actually using. I don't think we actually even need this preprocess, but we'll leave it in there for now. Storage.ml. Okay. So these are things that we for sure need. Let's go back to the OAuth client and let's grab, I've got this. We'll probably need this. Well, we definitely need this. Okay, so let's grab this. I think we'll leave them here and we'll just kind of slowly add them over here. And we're expecting this. Can I just say storage config here? It's an interface, it's not a type. Okay. Let's see. Grab this really quick. I've got to remember how we did this. So let's see. This creates a module with that storage unit. Where do we actually use storage unit though? Not that. Storage units, okay. Module. Alright, I was starting to build a custom storage up there. I could probably just delete this one now. Is it here? Yeah. So it's saying module OAuth client takes a storage unit. So maybe storage unit needs to take a config type. When we initialize a storage unit, maybe we want to initialize it with a config type that it's going to be storing. Now that seems weird though, because then we might initialize more than one storage unit. Well, I guess that probably won't be the case, right? Because normally someone using Savvy is not going to have like 16 different, no, I guess they could. They could have multiple authentication methods. Maybe that is a problem. GitHub client. I guess it's fine though, because we're just creating hash tables, or they're creating different, if they're passing their own storage unit in, as long as their storage unit that they're using. Oh, hey, what's up, Bootfort? I know who you really are, but I won't say your real name, you know, for like privacy purposes. But what's up? Glad to see you. We're writing OCaml. Careful or you'll get hooked. Let's see. Right now we're trying to, Right now we're trying to figure out how to properly initialize our storage unit. So this is we're working on Savvy, which is a OAuth 2 client library for OCaml. And so part of Savvy is this storage unit structure, which is that whenever you create a new instance of Savvy, you need to create a storage medium. That way, whenever you go to log in, or whenever you use Savvy, it has some place to store values, really particularly probably the first watcher from Europe. Oh no, you're definitely not the first watcher from Europe. At this time, or at this time of the morning in the US, there's not very many US people awake. So I actually have I've had a couple, maybe not a lot, my tiny stream. I've had a couple of people from Europe sign in though. Sorry, yeah. But I'm still happy you're here. Yeah, so we need to figure out how to modify this storage unit so that it can take a config type, I think. Let's see. I'm feeling this is a super involved thing that I'm like not sure if I want to like go down this rabbit hole just yet or not. Well, is everything building right now besides that one thing? No, it's gonna get caught. I do feel like I want to get to a spot where I can push a new version of Savvy out, but I need GitHub to be working. So I guess that's fine. It's fine. If I break it right now, it's fine because GitHub's not working yet. Can't push a new release until GitHub's working. All right. So we got these config types. So maybe module type storage. What did I do with my, how did I get that before? I was just looking at it. Oh, I just passed it oh, that's not a module type though. Is that a module? Yeah, module type storage unit. All right, we're asking the internet. There's no OCaml OAuth lib available right now. No, not until Savvy came out. Before Savvy, there was no OAuth 2 client library for OCaml. just actually let's do this. Let's grab all this. I want to pass. Let's see. I'm building an OCaml storage module for an OAuth 2 client library. I have the below definitions. Wow, spelling today. Use the storage config as the value, or I want to use a storage config as the value for config in the storage unit module. How can I update this code, or what needs to be added? Let's see what AI says. Make storage unit parameterized over a storage config module. That way you can refer to the config as config.t or similar. Ooh, okay. Updated version using functors. Alright, we're using functors. Alright, so we've got our module type storage config, so that all appears to be the same as what we've got. And the storage unit functor signature module type storage unit equals functor config, and that returns all of these things. With that, with this structure, you can implement storage unit like so. I can create my storage will be a type storage unit. It'll pass in a functor with config. Alternative. Okay, what's this alternative? If you're not using functors, you could redesign storage config to just define the config type and expose values separately. Would you like an example? Yeah, give me an example. I want to see how it's used. Like, this makes sense, I think, but I'm not sure how you use this. So create a concrete config. So this is my config, which is a type storage config. So we've got access token, refresh token, and then the things that it's required to have. Why are there values in the type that aren't up here? Oh, these are just what we're adding, I guess. These are the values that it doesn't have by default. Okay, and then so we initialize it. Type T. I guess we use config.t. Okay. This config is going to be a storage config. Instantiate. Okay, here we go. So then open my config. Oh, so we create the. Wait, my config. Where's my config? Oh, right there. Module concrete storage equals my storage, where I pass my config. So let's. So we open the config. We create a token data. We create a storage. And we pass it user. And then these two values. And token data looks like this, which is access token, refresh token, which is the types that we have up here in my config. That's the types that are expected for that kind of config. What are these? These should also be in the config. I'll just ask. Are the client ID, scope, and token endpoint values not in the config? I want them to be in the config. the client ID scope and token by part of the config value, i.e. stored per instance in the T type, then your current storage config signature is mixing two concerns, declaring a type T, declaring global values, which contradicts making them part of T. If you want config type, it could just look like this. Maybe I just need a config type. But that's not interface though. Like I want it to be extensible because I don't think all the configs will ever look the same. I wonder if instead of all this, I can just tell, maybe I can create a config type in this file that just pulls config types from all of the various resources. It can take OAuth 2's client. Well, no, that introduces circular dependencies, I think. Because OAuth 2 would depend on this to get the storage signatures or whatever, and then it would also, and then this would rely on OAuth 2 clients for the config definitions, which would not work in OCaml, unfortunately. Let's see. Storage config. My config type looks like this. Here's a fixed storage config module to match this intention. Update storage config. Oh, have a make. That module just defines the type T and a function to construct a no global constraint constants. Okay. So then my config is storage config struct with a type of T, and then it makes using all of these things. With an access token. Let's see. Ooh, I have an idea. Let's hop over to here. Let's grab all of these config types. And let's just ask that. What if I need to create a config type that can take any of the following types? Support a config that can be any of those 4 OAuth 2 grant types. You should use a sum type. Okay, that's what we're doing here. Man, maybe we need a storage definition for each different kind. Maybe Savvy just needs to implement its own storage. Maybe there needs to be an OAuth 2 storage and then a GitHub storage. Maybe each one needs to implement its own storage. That way, man, that just feels like that's gonna get so time consuming to like update and keep up to date. I really would love to have all this stuff unified into one location. Yeah, because we're doing this sum type down here. So we're using this polymorphic config type. But it would be, I really just need to add, I just need a way to add GitHub to, so I could lift this out, right? I could take config type, I could just remove all of the config types to the storage module. And then, where all do I use config in here? So this is all getting moved to another file. Oh, we use config in here super heavily though. Oh, we're always going to use config super heavily because all of the different all the endpoints need to be passed configs, and they need to know what type that config is. Yeah, this spiraled quickly. All right. Let's not do that. Let's not do the storage thing right now. Let's not try and move everything together. Too scared. Too scared of breaking everything at this point. Not scared of breaking everything. Too scared that I'll put myself in a position when we're like 5 minutes away from I need to end the stream. Put myself in a position where tomorrow it's very difficult to jump back in. Alright, let's come back here. Let's see. To do GitHub config struct, create your alt developer, create a token exchange method. Okay, that's our tasks list. GitHub app config. I don't even know what this is. This is a bunch. Oh, this is just an authorization code config that I copied over. Okay, so we've got all that. We've got our GitHub OAuth client. Maybe then the real play here is to just grab this storage unit, define a new storage unit that's specific to GitHub. I don't love it. I don't love it. But I think that is in fact going to be the most flexible way for us to do this. Like, so we define our own storage unit, in-memory storage unit up there. So now instead of using the OAuth 2 client storage unit, we just use ours. I use the GitHub version. I think that's fine. The user who's building this, if they have multiple authorization methods, will need to create a storage implementation for each one, which I don't love. I don't love that. I'm not sure how we get around it yet, though. I'm not sure how we get around it yet, because they're just so different. And it's really only the authorization code flows we have to worry about. Those are the only 2-part flows. So maybe we just need to come up with a more concise way to handle those between routes. I felt like giving users a really easy hook into a storage utility made the most sense, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe I should say that it's okay to use the in-memory one in production. It still feels like that's just a memory leak, so that's not a good option. Okay, let's make sure things build. I would really like to leave things in a state that builds. Has expression of type string, but expression of type URI. Oh, right. Right, so we need this to be JSON URI dot to of string. We have to put this in parentheses because it's parameterized. Oh wait. Expression has type JSON URI, but expression has type URI. Oh wait, okay. Fine, do it your way. We'll do it your way. Alright. And, whoa, implementation did not match the interface. Oh right, I modified that in here, but I need to modify it in here. Oh no. Okay. We'll leave that. This is unused. I think Dune's gonna complain about that. This expression has type config, but an expression was expected of type OAuth 2 client config. Oh right, that's why we have to do it that way. Okay. So then we come here. We do take this off. So now it's using our GitHub version. which will accept a config from here. That's this config, that's that config. So then we have to come to github.mli, and we need to, actually let's go to auth2mli and just copy it from here. We need this. We'll put this here. Storage unit, and then we'll have our GitHub clients, and then we'll do this one will just be our storage unit up above. And then that, whoops, that's gonna make it so Savvy doesn't match anymore, okay? So then we go to savvy.mli. So we got our storage unit. It has its own definition. Oh man, do I have to name it GitHub storage unit or something like that? Because this says it's expecting a GitHub, or it's expecting an OAuth2 client config, but we need it to be expecting a Wait, do I have to have this here? Could this not be? Can that be like that? And then I don't need this at all? Yeah, I do that up above all over the place. And this could be GitHub.storage unit. Yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Aha, in-memory storage does not match the right type. That's in main. Good. Okay, so now in-memory storage. Wait, what is in-memory? Where do I define in-memory storage? Oh, that's OAuth2. So I probably just need to go back to SavvyMLI. Yeah, so that's in-memory storage. So I need to call the GitHub one something else. Because it's just a default implementation. Do you have a plan to have tutorial create OCaml application using Savvy? Yes, that's a good idea. Right now in Savvy, let's see. Right now, we've been updating this well, actually in Savvy's bin directory, there's a main file. That's what I keep going back and forth from. And the main file actually creates, because read me out of Savvy, I'm really lost in OCaml syntax. Yeah, if you're not OCaml familiar, it gets a little bit tricky, I guess. For someone that is familiar with OCaml, reading main.ml is an example of using a web server with Savvy. It's an example of using Savvy in a Dream web server. Dream is it's like what is it in JavaScript? Express. Dream is like the Express.js of OCaml, the Dream web framework. It's my favorite one. I really like it. Made by a guy named Antron, or by the moniker of Antron. It's excellent. It's a really well-built library. But yeah, it could be really interesting to build something like some sort of a walkthrough, like we're going to start a new app, and here's how we're going to drop Savvy in for the first time, and how we're going to make our authorization. That's a good idea. We should do that. After I finish the GitHub integration, let's create a tutorial. Create a tutorial for setting up savvy for the first time in a sample app. Name says it all. Some way to help guide new users configuring their savvy setup in their OCaml app. Crash course video to get to OCaml. Yes. This is a great way to end the stream. So OCaml, if you just Google OCaml and go to ocaml.org, OCaml has tons of resources for learning it. There actually was one mentioned in chat earlier. A guy and you mentioned, I think it was you, yeah, the CS3110. What is it, CS3110? OCaml. Yeah. So this cs3110.github.io, this is like, I'm trying to remember where this came from. Cornell. It's the the data structures and functional programming course at Cornell University. And so this one is great. It has a YouTube playlist associated with it. It's got over 200 YouTube videos. And if you kind of like jump into it, where's one that's got a video? Yeah, so it's this guy right here. These are all super good. He's a professor, I believe, so does a really good job of explaining it all. The OCaml website itself has some really good tools under the Learn tab. You can go and they've got multiple different layers of OCaml. I actually started with real world OCaml because I just dove straight in and just started reading this as a book. I think the original website, this was sort of the preferred one. But what's nice about this one is that you can read the entire book online for free. You can also do that with the OCaml programming correct, efficient, and beautiful. Oh, this is the Cornell University course. Okay. Yeah, so this will bring you here. So on the OCaml website, just click on the Learn tab at the top. You'll get that. The beginner one takes you to that CS3110 course from Cornell. And then the real world OCaml. I feel like this one was written pretty well. It's also interesting because it's written by Yaron Minsky, who's one of the podcasts, or he is the podcast host from Jane Street. What is the name of his podcast? Signals and Threads. There it is. Signals and Threads. So Jane Street's was like an investment firm that does like high frequency trades. And so Signals and Threads kind of goes through just like all sorts of stuff about like OCaml and technology, and they delve into a little bit about how Jane Street handles some of the stuff that they've taken on. Super interesting. Some really great listens. So yeah, that's where I would go. That would be my recommendation. If you want to learn some OCaml, I would start with real world OCaml or the CS3110. Installing OCaml is kind of tricky if you're using OPAM. It's not really tricky. I don't want to say it's tricky. I don't want to get in trouble with the OCaml people. It's not super tricky. But if you go to preview.dune.build, there's also a new version of Dune with the Dune package manager that they're working on, which is supposed to be able to, as the page says, get you set up on OCaml with Dune in under a minute, which is very quick. So you basically just curl to go get Dune from a location, and then you can just run these steps and you're done. You're good. It works. It has a feel very similar to NPM or like Cargo. But this is where I'm going to have to call the stream because I have to eat breakfast and then I have to go do work, unfortunately. Are you putting these videos on YouTube as an archive? Yes. Does the dune come with the sandworms as well? It is in fact named after that dune. So there are definitely connections to sandworms like in the code and like yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think the whole OCaml ecosystem is built around sort of that book. One of the so it's a good idea to add all these links in a file. Yeah. And add those in the description. Yeah, I'll do that for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of Dune related stuff. The big one of the other really big packages in OCaml is melange, which if you've read Dune is the spice. All right, we should go raid somebody because that's the etiquette, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Melange. Let's just see who's on. Who do we want to raid? I feel like we have to raid. We got to raid Dylan this time. We raided Janet last time. Only saw the movies. Oh, you got to read the books. The movies make so much more sense if you read the books. They are lengthy though. You can get the audiobook though. All right. How many have you read? I'm actually not sure where like the distinctions are. I've read through. I'm not even sure like what. I think I've only read the first one technically. I think in the movies though, so it's sort of weird with the way the movies. So the Dune 2, the movie Dune 2, I think is just the second half of the first Dune book. I think. But maybe if that's not the case, then maybe I've actually read the first 3 Dunes. I'm not totally sure. The like separation has me a little confused. Yeah. So yeah, I've read the first book. Very interesting. I've heard really good things about the second book. I just have to get back to it. Last Miles is online. Who's Last Miles? Last Miles grinding out GCC. Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool. Wandering Wizard of Bits, fully dressed in a bathrobe and with a coffee cup and optional towel. This sounds a lot like, we could raid him maybe. Yeah, I'm down to raid this guy. Bootstrapping GCC. Yeah, drinking a bit and cooking stuff and listening to tunes. Not sure what's going on here. See, I love the bass on this. Do I know about this? Let's see. Oh, Beach's guy did network programming. Oh, this guy. Yeah, okay, we can raid this guy. Same guy. All right, I've got to remember to shut my stream off this time, though. Last time I forgot to stop the stream after I raided somebody. All right, so we got to do this in the right order. So let me swap this. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys around the internet. This guy is Last Mile.